And now, everyone, it is time that we shall go and cap off this episode with the grand finale. And with this grand finale, I decided to go and save what is debatably the biggest animation news for last. And honestly, just looking back at this episode, well, technically this would count as the only animation-specific news that we would go and talk about. But anyways, for real though, this is actually a trailer that just came out, and there have been some people, specifically those who went to CinemaCon, they were able to go and experience this trailer first, but now we actually get a chance to go and see it, considering that it got released into the public. But one major reason also why I decided to go and save this for last is mainly because, honestly, I feel like even though I'm not particularly a major fan of the franchise, but even I feel like I have a lot to discuss here. I have a lot of opinions about this. So without further ado, let us now go and check out the trailer for the upcoming animated feature, Transformers 1.
Hey, what is up, Transformers fans? Well, this is it, Brian. Our trailer is about to drop.
And that is Transformers 1, to which the movie shall be coming soon. Yeah, thank you. It shall be coming soon to theaters in September 20th. Now, it's honestly very fascinating to see the reactions of this trailer, because I think at best is that this trailer so far has been very mixed, and I've heard a lot of varying opinions where some people say that they loved it, and at the same time, some people say that they hate it. And for me, honestly, I listened to both sides to what they were talking about and stuff, and for me, like, even just through like experiencing this trailer, and keep in mind, like I've stated this before in past videos and stuff like that, but I'm not necessarily a major Transformers fan. Even as a child growing up, I was more into Beast Wars, which I actually recently visited last year. It was actually a surprisingly enjoyable series with some real golden moments. Like there were a few episodes that was like, oh my god, this is like way better than it ever should be. But yeah, like honestly with Transformers, like I'm more or less indifferent, but like I could see like the fun of it, especially like with the toys that like they are the main thing to go and sell. And when watching Transformers 1, even at that, honestly, like, there's a lot of mixed emotions that I personally have. Okay, now, before we go in and, like, get into, like, some of the problems it may have, I just want to go and get some of the positives out of the way. Now, one that might be controversial is that I am actually a fan of the idea of showing Optimus Prime and Megatron as buddies. Like, you know, I actually do like this idea of, like, this whole prequel, and we actually see both Megatron and Optimus Prime, where they started out as friends, you know? They were, like, best buddies, they were, like, brothers and stuff like that, and then we learn about the origins of how Megatron turned evil, and how their, how their rivalry, or not even rivalry, how they became enemies over time. Like, okay, in that regards, honestly, I'm open to the idea, and I think there's a lot of great possibilities of what you could do with that kind of story, okay? So, in that regard, so far, like, the concept, I'm down for it. Like, that's actually pretty cool. Another thing that I liked, of course, the animation. I mean, this animation, I'm not gonna lie, is actually pretty awesome, especially the moments where they do get action-packed, especially like this moment right over here. Like, I gotta say, it's actually pretty cool. Like, it's like, the action looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. They're gonna make it intense. They're gonna make it fast-paced. Like, I like, from the stuff that you're looking for with Transformers, with transforming robots into action, okay, that, I think it might actually deliver, especially with this animation, really working a lot into the, into the world building and presenting Cybertron as well. you know, it actually does look very nice. It actually does look very polished. So already I feel like the animation is one of the stronger suits of this movie. So they already nailed that look, like to make an animated Transformers film. So already the style, the designs, and the animation in itself is already great. Like that already, like, they managed to sell it in looking like a pretty solid Transformers film. And another thing I will say, one thing that admittedly, it did caught me off guard, but I did actually like some of the comedy. I'll bring this back later, but honestly, there are a few moments where I'm surprised that Bumblebee actually did get some laughs out of me. Like, even the moment where he tried to transform into a car and was looking for his wheels, like this moment here. Like, hold on. Woo! Like, honestly, it did get me, like, a few laughs. There are some moments where the comedy was actually pretty effective, and, you know, maybe this could actually work out in the direction that it may want to go. Like, if it's able to get me to chuckle on some of the jokes here, then you know what, maybe this could actually, maybe the comedy could turn out to be a pretty enjoyable thing in this feature. It might be more of an asset than it would be a detriment. So I'll go and give it credit onto that. That, and also probably the big thing that people are praising it the most, the one thing that people are the most excited about with this movie, is that there are no humans. Finally, after so many feature films with the Transformers, we are finally going to have one that is just going to focus on the Transformers and nothing else. That is just the Transformers in Cybertron, and all of the characters featured are Transformers and maybe some Bionicle looking characters, and that is it. So if you don't want any of those annoying human interactions that have constantly plagued many of the Michael Bay films, well, don't you worry, there's going to be none of that in Transformers 1. So already there's a lot of there's already a lot of promise, there's already a lot of positive aspects from it. But then there are also some complaints that I personally do have. And also, like, the criticisms that I have heard again and again is actually in regards to the tone. Because safe to say, you don't have to be a Transformers fan to know that this right here does not feel like a Transformers movie in general. Like, this right here, nah, that, like, no matter what version of Transformers it may be, maybe, like, rather it be the Transformers from the 80s or the Michael Bay version or what have you, this does not feel like Transformers whatsoever. It feels like a typical modern animated kids flick. And honestly, one thing I gotta say, what I personally feel like something that I'm just absolutely tired of seeing again and again and again, that now it's at the point where it's starting to become an absolute cliche for animated films, is having freaking Keegan-Michael Key. I don't know, I'm honestly starting to feel like almost every animated feature that I would go and watch, it has to have freaking Keegan-Michael Key. Like, he's starting to pop up, like, anywhere and everywhere. I don't know if the dude excuse me, like, choking on my own spit right there. Like, I don't know if Keegan-Michael Key is just trying to go and, like, show up in just about every single animation studio and whatever movie they would try to make, but honestly, it just feels, for me, I feel like whenever I would go and watch a movie on the big screen, there's a high likelihood it would go and feature Keegan-Michael Key. Like, and no matter what it may be, and even if I want to try to take a break from animated films and watch something in live action, there's a chance that Keegan-Michael Key might actually be there as well. I mean, no offense to Keegan-Michael Key. He definitely is a very talented actor. But honestly, holy crap, do people keep hiring, I feel like people are hiring him way too much to the point where it feels like he's absolutely everywhere. Like, even if I want to escape animated films, I'm just going to go and watch a simple live action movie. You know what? Let's go and check out Wonka. Maybe that'll be like a nice little escapism from Keegan-Michael Key. Ah, son of a fish. You know, it honestly feels like that. And seeing Keegan-Michael Key in this, where he would play a far more goofy and comedic Bumblebee, like this one right over here, like this little moment.
I'm actually working on some nicknames. The one I'm floating right now is Badassatron, which is actually pronounced Badassatron.
This, I feel like, okay, this almost sounds like just about half of all the characters that Keegan-Michael Key would go and play right over here. And honestly, like, yeah, there are some, like I did state, there are some comedic moments that I think were actually funny. Like, they did caught me off guard. But I just gotta say, like, this introduction to Bumblebee with Keegan-Michael Key, this was probably the cringiest part of the entire trailer that we have seen. Like, this annoying thing right over here just doesn't work out. And I just want to go and state, like, yes, so much of this really feels like the typical animated feature, but there is kind of like a specific feel that goes into it. There is like, you know, it's, you know, it feels a little bit too vague to just say like it feels like another typical animated feature, because it does feel like something that you have seen before, but it's hard to pinpoint where. And some people have actually pointed this out, and it honestly makes perfect sense. Because one thing that you really have to keep in mind is that the director of this movie is Josh Cooley, a Pixar veteran whom his last credentials was being the director of Toy Story 4. And suddenly it makes perfect sense. The thing, like the biggest problem with what I have with this trailer so far is that this is a Transformers movie that's trying to be a Pixar movie. Like a lot of the gags that they would try to do, and I would even debatably say even a bit of the animation style feels like it's trying to be Toy Story. Like even with this part over here. Like, even the way that Bumblebee runs, like, it almost feels very similar to how, like, Woody or Buzz would run in the Toy Story movies. It's just, I look at this and I feel like, yeah, like, this real, you know, it really feels like it's going in a completely different direction and probably a little bit too different, where the identity, you know, like, honestly, I'm kind of questioning, like, why does this have to be a Transformers movie when none of the soul feels like it is a Transformers movie? Now, this doesn't necessarily mean that this would go and become like something that's just terrible or anything like that. And I'm not saying that Transformers should not be funny whatsoever. They're definitely allowed to have some comedic moments. In fact, it's more welcoming. It's actually better for Transformers to actually have some comedic moments, because usually the tone of it is just cheesy. Like, it's almost like they're self-aware of how ridiculous their own concept is, and that their main goal is to go and sell toys. Like, I get that is kind of the big thing that they're trying to go and do. But the thing is that with this right over here, it feels like they got that memo and they read it completely wrong, where now they decided to go and turn Transformers into a full-on goofy cartoon. And I don't know if this would really work, honestly. It's just, and even like with the designs, I feel like it wants to try to stay true to Transformers, but with the tone of it all, like it should have like it's either they should have benefited to try to have a bit more of a cartoony design, or that they would like hold back the tone where they would just go back into the regular like 80s cheesiness, where they would kind of take themselves seriously, but they have some self-awareness of their own ridiculousness. And I think that is kind of this You know, and that is the big thing that's really dividing people, and why I understand the criticisms against this trailer with Transformers 1. It's just that the tone and the style of humor that they are trying to do, it feels out of place. And again, I'm on board with a lot of the concepts. I mean, again, the animation looks very nice. I do like the idea of this origin story of the Transformers where there are no humans and it's all set in Cybertron. But then you would have the execution where it's trying so hard to be a Pixar movie. That's the thing where I feel like, I don't know, like that's something that it doesn't sound like it might work. Unless Josh Cooley might find a way to really actually nail it. Like if it's trying to be like a Pixar film, then you better make it as good as a Pixar film. Or at the very least, make this as good as Toy Story 4. I mean, I love Toy Story 4, but I mean, if you're just gonna go and try to be like another Toy Story movie, then it ain't gonna freaking work out unless you manage to nail the execution perfectly. Like, this is a case where people will not accept anything less than greatness. Unless you can pull off something amazing, then people are just gonna flat out reject this. So that's why, honestly, I have to go and talk about this, because I just feel like it is just very conflicting because of the fact that there are a lot of great things about it where I could see how this could actually be pretty enjoyable, but at the same time, I do see some of the criticisms, and it honestly feels like it makes sense as to why not many people are on board with this Transformers in particular. And there is one more thing that I would like to go and discuss about, and one thing that I feel like not many people are discussing that is very intriguing, and that is in regards to its release date, September 20th. Mainly because of the fact that Transformers 1 is going to be released at the same time, on the same day, as another robot-themed animated feature, The Wild Robot. And honestly, it has me wondering, is there going to be like a bit of a conflict going on? Like, is Universal and Paramount not worried about like what they might do to each other, if they might end up cannibalizing each other? Because I'll just say right now, it has been a long time since we have seen two animated features be released on the same day on the big screen. I know that like this year somehow it seems to be a little bit of a theme where we do have movies like Orion in the Dark and The Tiger's Apprentice, and then we would have Inside Out 2 and Ultraman Rising being released on the same day. But some of those movies, they're released on streaming. So like, I know it's kind of like debatable if that would count or not, but this one though, the fact that these are two big screen movies, that is a major significance. I tried looking it up, and I think the last time that it happened was over 3 decades ago, where we saw Fievel Goes West and Disney's Beauty and the Beast be released at the same time. You could correct me if I'm wrong, if there was another 2 animated features released on the same day, but so far, I think that was the last one that ever came out. So I feel like at that point, all I'm wondering is if there's going to be one that might chicken out and move to a different place. If either Transformers or The Wild Robot might go and like move away from each other so that they don't hinder each other's performances. Because keep in mind, I could see some of the benefits and the flaws with one another. Like with Transformers 1, Transformers 1, it's a major franchise, which I could see like the big appeal, like go see the new Transformers movie. So like it has that going for it. And then you have The Wild Robot, in which it's just an original animated feature, or it's one that is not based on a popular franchise. But then again, you could argue that, well, Transformers 1's reputation so far is pretty mixed, whereas The Wild Robot is actually very much hype. I don't know what's going to be happening. I think one might have to go in delay, or one would have to like maybe move forward to like an earlier September release, or maybe an August release, who the fridge knows? But I feel like, honestly, the fact that they both have the same release dates, I feel like someone would have to go and take action. Otherwise, they both might end up becoming flops, or at least a box office disappointment because of it. I don't know. We'll just have to go and wait and see. And I think at this point, I'm just going to go and take a break right now. Not because I need to go to the bathroom or anything. I just want to go and reset the timer so that when I do come back, you'll have plenty of time to go and put out your opinion onto the Transformers 1 trailer, and what do you think and all that kind of stuff, so that we can have plenty of time to go and discuss about that. So let's just have a break, write down your thoughts on that, and we'll go from there. Alright, so now that we had that nice little break, let me see what you all have to say in the chat wall right over here. So, this may be a hot take, but I thought the trailer sucks. Don't get me wrong, I do like the idea of a prequel film including how Optimus Prime and Megatron become enemies, as well as no humans in there, but from the looks of it, it sucks from the direction, the comedy, too on-the-nose reference, writing, characters, and even the animation style looks too similar to Toy Story. Maybe it'll surprise me, but I thought it sucks. Also, you could say the same thing for Aquafina in appearing too much too. Oh, I'm not denying that as well. I know that there's been so many, or debatably too many, animated features with Aquafina. I mean, there are times I did enjoy Aquafina. Like, I enjoyed her as Miss Tarantula and the bad guys and stuff like that, but I don't know, I feel like so far her inclusion in some movies, like, it's a bit much, okay? Like, we don't need Aquafina appearing in, like, all the other performances. Again, she's talented, but honestly, like, you can hire other people than Aquafina. Let's see what else we have here. As a lifelong Transformers fan, I am hyped for this movie. I know people criticize the trailer for having a Marvel humor, but I don't agree with it. Aside from that criticism being overused, I would rather have this kind of humor as opposed to the raunchy, crude humor from the Bay films. Also, from my Transformers lore experience, and what I heard from Josh Cooley describe Optimus Prime and Megatron as Moose and Rames, something tells me that it's not going to be lighthearted as you may think. Yeah, that is true. I mean, we'll see how it goes, because we kind of know that, like, we know a bit of the ending that, like, Optimus Prime and Megatron are going to become enemies. Like, we will see, like, their friendship be completely broken. So maybe there could actually be that surprise that we will see how that relationship will just completely break off. And I mean, I will give credit to Josh Cooley, based on what he has done, like with his writing in Inside Out and also his directing in Toy Story 4. Like, he knows how to do, he knows how to do friendships very well. Like, whether it be with Woody and Forky or with Joy and Sadness, he's able to nail that. So maybe there is that possibility that with that kind of approach, he'll also go and give that to Optimus Prime and Megatron in order to go and carry the heart of the picture and have this end off on, like, probably a bittersweet or maybe more bitter note. So there is that possibility. Let's see, what else do we have here? I'm not gonna lie, I'm looking forward to this, not only because I'm a casual Transformers fan, but also we'll be getting another animated theatrical Transformers film since 1986. The animation is very nice, and the humor is pretty fun, especially with Bumblebee being like, well, I'm out. Funny that it will be released around the same time as The Wild Robot. Damn, we're getting a couple of Barbenheimer-style releases, eh? That is crazy. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if this would legit be a Barbenheimer one. Like, Barbenheimer, again, is like one of those very rare moments that it actually did work out. This, on the other hand, I feel like it's going to be more of a detriment than something that is beneficial. I don't see people hyping up both Transformers 1 and The Wild Robot as something that people have to see, you know, they have to see together. Like, people are already preparing more, like, another possible Barbenheimer that people are trying to turn into a meme is with Moana 2 and Wicked. Like, that has more of a likelihood to be a Barbenheimer more so than what we are seeing with Transformers 1 and The Wild Robot. Let's see, what other comments would there be? I may be just a fan of Transformers, but after watching the trailer, on the other hand, I don't think I'm excited for this. I mean, the animation looks fascinating, and the concept of Optimus Prime and Megatron being buddies, but when it comes to the comedy, it's just flat out weak. This movie is as cringeworthy. This movie is as cringeworthy to me, just like that one Transformers anime video with an Autobot accidentally kissed a lady robot, and somehow how that kiss got her pregnant. I'm not joking. Look it up on YouTube. That sounds like some legitimate fan fiction shenanigans there. Especially, how does a Transformer get pregnant anyways? How the fridge does that work? Honestly, the only way I can imagine a robot getting pregnant is honestly, like, all I can imagine is like that 2005 Robots movie. They don't necessarily get pregnant. They get like an Amazon box where they had to build a freaking robot. You know, that's what I can imagine. All right, let's see what else we got. While I myself am not a huge Transformers fan, I feel very mixed. On one hand, the animation looks great, and a lot of the ideas are interesting, but on the other hand, the humor is very hit and miss, and it definitely feels very different compared to the other Transformers projects. So overall, I'm very unsure on how to feel about this. Maybe it could be better than the Michael Bay movies, but not as good as Bumblebee or Rise of the Beast. I am sensing a little bit of a pattern. I guess, like, it depends on how much of a Transformers fan you are, if you are open to what you have just seen with Transformers 1. Like, the more you're a fan of Transformers, the less likely you're gonna like it. At least that's based on what I'm seeing here in the chat wall. I think, yeah, I might have to read one more comment, considering some of them are repeating now. I personally enjoyed this trailer. The animation looks awesome, it has a very all-star cast, and it has some good comedy. I'm honestly surprised that it is being released on the same day as The Wild Robot, but I will see it if I can watch both movies. Also, how are you going to review both movies if they are being released in theaters on the same day? That will have to wait and see. I mean, like, I'm just going to take it one step at a time, and I still got plenty of other animated movies to go and review as the year will go by, but my strategy for now will be, if I will be lucky enough to get an early screening for at least one of them. If I could go and watch either Transformers 1 or The Wild Robot, I get an early screening of that so that on the day of, I'll go and put out a review of that movie, and then the next week would be the other movie. At least that's my strategy for now. If not, I'll see what I can do. Like, I'll have to try to figure that out along with, like, all my other plans. But again, let's just take this one step at a time.